Welcome, everybody, again to Agent Investor. I'm your host, Tom Caffarella. We are the only brand that helps real estate agents get off the real estate roller coaster by blending investing and being a real estate professional. A lot of stuff about what we talk about is how to invest in real estate without taking up any more time on what you're typically doing on your day to day with your real estate sales career. We also talk a good amount about using investing techniques in your real estate sales business. And that is going to be the focus for today. I have talked a lot. I've had an event. I've done a couple of podcasts about the changing and shifting market going into 2026. By the time that this is probably released, we probably will be in 2026. As of this recording, it's late December 2025. As we all know, if you're in the market, if you're helping buyers and sellers buy properties, we all know that the market has shifted. It has become much more of a buyer's market. It has become a cold market. It has become a colder market than I can remember. And a lot of sellers and buyers are kind of at a stalemate. There are a lot of listings right now going on the market that are not selling. This is in stark contrast to what has happened in the real estate market in the past 5 or more years. For most real estate agents in the past 5 or more years, if you went out and you sat at the table with a seller and you got them to put pen to paper on a listing agreement for a listing price that made reasonable sense, you were typically getting paid. Not only were you typically getting paid, but you were typically getting paid within 45 to 60 days. Maybe it took a little bit longer and it was 75 days. Now the market has shifted. The market has shifted where there are many, many instances where properties are going on the market at prices that are very reasonable, where there are comps and they're not selling. And there are many sellers who are choosing to take their property off the market. Some because they're going to put it on the market later, some because they want to try another agent, some because they've decided not to sell, and every reason in between. Well, what does this mean for agent investors? What does this mean for agents in general? Well, it's not good news. It is absolutely not good news to put so much time, effort, and energy just on getting a seller appointment, just on getting a listing, on promoting that property, on having open houses, all to come up empty. So I want to talk about an investing strategy that you can utilize using our team to give yourself a very higher probability of making sure that those listings get sold, right? I mean, we don't want to take listings just to take listings. We don't want to waste our time, effort, energy, marketing dollars. So how can you give yourself the best opportunity at what I would call a guaranteed sale, right? Again, this is something that we haven't had to think about in a long time. We almost had guaranteed sales. I know they weren't guaranteed, but if you took a listing in the past 5 years at a good price, you were probably getting paid, right? And you were probably getting paid fast. So how do we up our chances? And one strategy to do this, it's not the only strategy. The strategy I'm going to talk about today, it is not a cure-all. It's not going to solve all your problems, but it is going to help you. And my advice is to use what you call a guaranteed sale. Okay? Guaranteed sale for all sellers that you meet with, right? And how would that work? And how can you work with our team in order to do that? Well, as many of you know, if you've been following me for a while, we do have our partnership program where if a agent brings us to a seller's home, we will make an offer. If they accept it, we'll buy the property, we'll renovate it, we'll resell it, and we will split the profits with agents 50-50. Now, many agents, when they hear that, and many conversations that we have with agents when we talk about our partnership opportunity, is many agents don't view it at all as a way to get their listings closed, as a way to make sure that they're going to get money in the door, or as a way to add value to their seller. And I'm going to talk about why that's all true today. It has been common in the last 5 years and in the last 3 years that we've been offering the agent partnership program for many sellers, many agents to think that they will only bring us. I'm only going to bring Tom and his team out to make an offer when I perceive that it's an investor opportunity. Because if I perceive as the agent that it's not an investor opportunity, well, I'll just put their property on the market. It'll sell. I'll make a commission. They'll be happy. It'll close relatively quickly. Now that the market has shifted, I would advise you to look at our cash offer that we offer to your sellers as a way to get more of your listings closed as a guaranteed sale. And I'll talk about how that would work. But before I talk about how that would work, I do want to mention one other thing about providing a cash offer that a lot of agents overlook. It's something that they don't necessarily think about, but having a guaranteed sale option, providing a seller with a cash offer, is going to actually get you more appointments. And it gets our team quite a few seller appointments where we go to the home and the seller tells us, hey, I've got an agent, but I want to hear your cash offer. So as kind of a lead magnet, a cash offer is really, really powerful. And what a lot of agents don't realize, because agents believe that in general, that, hey, my friends and family and people that know me are always going to call me when it comes to selling their house. And then, of course, if we've been in the business for long enough, we realize that oftentimes somebody that we know ends up not using us. They use another agent, or they sell off market before we can even get an opportunity. So by you having the ability to offer a cash offer in your marketing materials, on your social media, you're going to get more appointments. How it typically works, like let's just say that I put on my social media account, hey, sellers, I'm a cash buyer. I want to come out and make an offer on your home. No commissions to be paid. Close fast. No contingencies. Sell house as is. What oftentimes happens is a seller will see that message and say, okay, before I call my friend who's an agent, I want to see what Tom can offer me because there's no commissions, right? I'm going to save, or I'm not going to have to pay a 5% commission. So why not see what Tom and his team are going to offer first? Okay. So again, it is common for us to get in the door with a cash offer call to action. And then when we sit down with the seller, it can happen that, guess what? They don't take our cash offer, but they end up listing with us. Why would that happen? Well, maybe they do have a friend in the business, but maybe they're not a close friend. Or maybe they have a friend in the business and they just kind of said, you know what, I don't even want to work with the friend. Or maybe we come out and we do a really good job on our appointment and we're just first in, and they just decide, hey, you know what? I will work with Tom and his team. So using a cash offer as a magnet to attract appointments, I'm not saying you use it for all of your marketing campaigns. Wouldn't recommend that. I mean, you're likely a retail agent, or you're an agent investor and you don't want to market that way. That's okay. But throw it in periodically. Like, hey, I have a buyer that will give you a cash offer. It doesn't need to be you. All right. So then let's talk about, the guaranteed sale and how that would work. When you work with our team, you can legitimately go out and you can tell any seller, you can tell the public that you will guarantee to sell their house. Now, obviously, you can't guarantee that they're going to sell their house at a particular price, but you can guarantee that when you go on an appointment with your seller in this market where there's a lot of uncertainty, you will always have a cash offer that's 100% guaranteed if they decide that they want to go that route. So expired listings, they happen for a variety of reasons, and it might be common thought, and it can be the thought that, well, why do I need a cash offer as a backup? Why can't my seller just kind of reduce their price? And I can tell you, it's really more a psychological thing than anything else. You could get a seller, you take the listing September 1st, 2025. You list the house at $499. Month goes by, no offers. Okay, you reduce the price to $480. Month goes by, no offers. All of a sudden it's November. November 15th, no offers. You go then to talk to your seller about reducing the price again. And they go, you know what? It's not that I won't take a lower offer per se, but I'm kind of just, the holidays are coming up. I'm going to be pretty busy. Why don't we just wait until, the first of the year? Or why don't we wait until March? Or, I just want to kind of think about this some more. Now, flip that around when you have a guaranteed cash buyer when you work with us. And let's say that your seller did decide, hey, the listing price, you and the seller agreed the listing price is going to be $399. Don't quote me on this number, but let's say hypothetically you had a cash offer of $350 with no commission. And the seller says to you, yeah, I want to try the property on the market at $399. Maybe I can get $400 minus a $15,000 commission. I'll net $485. I'm sorry, I'll net $475. I'd rather try that first. And they go on the market and it's 3-4 weeks later. And then they say to you, you know what? I do want that cash offer. I want to be out of here by the holidays. I want to be out of here by December 1st. I'm ready to take it. This has actually happened to us. I mentioned in my last podcast, we had an agent who brought us a deal in Attleboro, Massachusetts. We made them an offer over the summer. They then listed their property for a little bit higher, didn't get the number, and then came back to us and we took the offer. We bought the property. So what would have happened to that listing if there was no cash offer from us? Would it have expired? Maybe. Would they have kept dropping it? We don't know. But again, you can not only use a guaranteed sale as a cash magnet, and I should probably stop here and just kind of go over the nuts and bolts of a guaranteed sale and how working with us you can do that, because it might be kind of self-explanatory, but I do want to make sure that I do say it quickly. So the way that it would work is when you generate a seller appointment, regardless of whether you think they're going to want the cash offer or it's a cash house or whatever, you get to tell your seller, hey, I've got a buyer. They're a cash buyer, cash, no contingencies, sell when you want, fast or slow, no hassles of having your property on the market, no commission, etc. They're probably going to be a little bit lower than what we might list the house for on the MLS. But the purpose of the guaranteed sale is two things. First, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, if you do decide that you want some of the benefits that they have to offer and you're willing to take a little bit less right now, we can just get the deal done. There's no commission. You can close when you want. There's no inspections. There's no open houses. You're free to take the offer, that day. Or as part of our guaranteed sales program, I'll list your house. We can go on the market. We can decide that we want to try to get more. But if you decide at any point with this softening market that you're like, you know what, I tested the market, didn't work out. I'm ready to go. At any point, you can decide to take their offer. So when you work with me, and it's different than every other agent out there, right? When you work with me, you basically have a sell it now price. You have what we could market it for on the MLS, what we're going to try to get you. And then if you decide you just want to pull the plug at any point during the process, whether it's 1 week later, whether it's after an inspection, whether it's after a certain time frame, we'll give you that guaranteed sale. Now, by the way, I mentioned this in the intro. A lot of agents mistakenly think, well, I am not going to offer a cash offer unless I decide in my head that it's probably an investor property. Not understanding or not thinking about the fact that this actually provides your seller more value. I mean, why wouldn't this be a good idea for your seller? Why wouldn't it ever be a good idea for your seller to have a guaranteed cash offer? Backup. Even if they don't want it up front. And a lot of times they won't want it up front. That's okay. You being able to give them a guaranteed sales strike price is more value than the next agent. More value than the next agent. Especially, by the way, if it's framed correctly, which we're always going to coach you on how to do, which we're always going to do. I guess it makes sense to mention that when we go out, you bring us out to a seller appointment and we make a cash offer, like you're the one that's doing, all of the discussion, right? We're really there to look at the property, spend 10 or 15 minutes, assess what we would do in order to renovate the house, even if it's a small renovation. And we're there to give you a number. We'll also kind of not necessarily coach you, but we'll help you on why, the value that we bring, right? And again, it makes sense to mention, why would a seller, besides the fact that the market is cooling off, why would a seller ever take our cash offer? Even if it's going to be a little bit less than fair market value or what they think fair market value is. Let me spend 2 minutes just talking about that. First and foremost, when sellers sell to us, they get to pick the closing date. Now, for some sellers, that can be quick. We can buy properties in 7 to 10 days. I'll be honest, that's not commonly what most sellers need. Most sellers can't get out of the property in 7 to 10 days. We can buy it fast. We can buy it in 2 weeks. We can buy it in a month. But we can also be patient and buy it slow. And this is something that a lot of agents miss the point on. If your seller is going to buy a property or they're going to move somewhere and they're going to rent, they don't want to be under the gun. Who wants to be under the gun to sell and buy? I did it. I did it in 2017. I sold my primary residence and I bought another property and I double closed, did 2 closings same day. One of the most stressful processes of my life. Because when I was doing it, I had to always maneuver between the 2 sales, right? I had to make sure they lined up. It's a stressful thing. When your seller works with us, they can take their time. They can decide, hey, I need another month to find the property, or I need another 2 months, or I'm ready today and I need you to close quick. So the timing of it is one reason they sell to us. Second reason that, most people think about is they sell as is. It is becoming increasingly more common in this shifting market for a buyer to put an offer on a house, say that $500,000 house, say they put in a $490,000 offer. It is becoming increasingly more common that they get an inspection and that after the inspection, they try to renegotiate and or back out. It is becoming increasingly more common, and everybody who's listening to this, who sold 5 or more listings this year knows that to be true. So just because you listed the house for $500,000 and you got a $490,000 offer does not mean that property is going to sell for $490,000. And it doesn't even mean that buyer is going to close. This isn't 2020. This isn't 2021. This isn't 2022 where people are just saying, hey, you know what? I don't care about the inspection. I'll worry about that later. Especially in my market, especially in New England, you get an inspection on a property, there's going to be stuff that comes up. There's going to be stuff that comes up. Even if you renovated the property, there's going to be stuff that comes up. So when a seller sells to us and we give them that price, say that $450 price, there's no inspection. They don't have to worry about inspections. They don't have to think, well, are they going to come back to me after the fact? We've had this happen on our flips, right? We have a fully renovated house that we have a $500,000 asking price, goes under agreement for $490, inspection happens, and then they come back at $430. No exaggeration. It's been happening. So just keep that in mind. Another thing, another benefit, when we buy somebody's properties, we'll also front them money if they need money. A lot of times our sellers need money for moving. They need money for a down payment. They need money for something. We're willing to do that. It's a unique thing. And not all cash buyers will do this, but it's a unique thing that a retail buyer will never do. We're also willing, and we've done this a couple of times, to actually partner with the seller. Some agents go in and they get their commission and they say, you know what? I'm related to the seller, or the seller's my best friend. Will you partner with them on a deal? Yes, we will. Another reason that sellers sell to us, and I'm going to kind of end here with the reason sellers sell to us, because I could go on for a long time, is just the ease of it. You don't have to have a sign out in front of your house. You don't have to have neighbors in your property. You don't have to have a million showings. Again, with the market shifting, this is becoming more and more of a benefit. It used to be that in the past 5 years, you put the property on the market, you have one open house, you get 2, 3, 4, 5 offers, a bunch of them are over asking, you negotiate with those people, all of a sudden, you're done. Seller only really has to almost like get ready for one open house. Not the case anymore. There are open houses where 10, 15, 20 people come, and guess what? No offers or a bad offer. And now you've got to start the individual showing type of thing, right? So now all of a sudden, there's a lot more hassle to selling a house, okay? So what's the purpose of all of this, right? Taking, a big step back here. What do we want to help agents do? We want to help agents get off the real estate roller coaster. We want to do that by helping them sell more properties, increase the volume of their retail transactions. We want to partner with agents on fix and flip so that they get big chunks of income, so that they can use that money, to invest, right? That's the agent investor model. Keep selling real estate, use investor tools to get more commissions, turn some of those listing opportunities or those seller appointments into flips, get big chunks of income, use those big chunks of income to invest for long-term passive assets. I've talked a lot about the partner program in passing. I do have an on-demand webinar that everybody can watch at any point. It goes over all the fine details of the partnership program. You can watch that. You can listen to that whenever you have time at www.partnerwithagentinvestor.com. Again, that's www.partnerwithagentinvestor.com. All right, so kind of continuing on again, like what are we trying to do here? Why are we talking about this? Guys, the market has shifted. And it's probably going to continue to shift, because the reality is that buyers are tapped out. Buyers can't afford to pay more. Buyers are struggling. I mean, a lot of consumers are struggling, but buyers as a segment are struggling. Interest rates are fairly high. I mean, they're not high from historical perspective, but they're high from a recent perspective. Prices are high. Incomes are rising, but not as much as how, the prices and interest rates have risen and all the other expenses with owning a home. Insurance has gone way up. I say all of this to say that we're likely in the beginning phase of the market shift. Like, this is the shock, right? The shock happens when the market starts to shift and we're like, oh my goodness, what's going on? And then it starts to kind of stabilize. But what we are likely to see in 2026 is very low, if not none, if not falling prices in a lot of the country. Now, I'm not, going to make any predictions. I'm also not calling for some sort of dramatic decline in prices. It could happen, probably unlikely, but it could happen. But what I am 100% confident of, this I'm 100% confident of, there are going to be more expired listings because there are going to be so many sellers who on day one are going to want pricing from a year or two ago. They're going to want inspections from a year or two ago. And there are going to be a lot of agents who go in and meet with sellers and are so wanting that listing that they kind of agree with the seller, they take the listing, and then the listing expires. Using the guaranteed sale, using the cash offer as a backup is a way to kind of say, hey, let's try to push the pricing. We'll do everything we can to get you top dollar. But if it doesn't work out and you want that guaranteed sale, Tom and his team are going to be there to do it, right? That will get you more sales. It'll also get you more partner deals. Isn't that great, right? All of the ones that we buy, we'll put up all the money, we'll do all the construction, and we'll split the profits 50-50. So it's a win-win. And, again, this is the premise of agent investor, right? The strategy that I talked about today, the guaranteed sale using a cash offer, is going to be better for your sellers, right? It gives them more certainty. It gives them another option, more options. Options are good for consumers, right? Everybody likes, there's a reason that monopolies, are watched in the United States. Not that, it's a monopoly, but I'm saying options for sellers are good, right? You want to hit the eject button, you can do it today. So it's going to help you make more money. It's going to help your seller if they decide they want to hit the eject button. It's going to help you do more partner deals. It's going to help you get paid. It's going to help us make more money. It's a win-win. Those who shift towards these types of strategies in 2026 are going to make more money than those who don't. Those who keep operating like it's 2025, 2024, 2023 are going to make less money. And I guarantee, I promise you, I know for a fact too. I know for a fact there are going to be a lot of agents that go out, and even though they know kind of in the back of their head the market shifted, they're going to go out, they're going to take overpriced listings, they're going to sit, they're not going to sell, they're going to pray that the seller changes their mind or price drops, and then they're going to expire. This is a strategy to avoid that from happening. So one other announcement, if you didn't hear it on one of our last podcasts, I have hired somebody full-time to do individual one-on-one calls about our partner program. His name's Pat Keenan. He's a great guy. He's worked in the company. I moved him over from another position. He knows a lot about our partner program. He actually used to be one of my outside sales reps. He's a great guy, knows a lot about what we do. He's been working with the company for over 5 years. We are still really, really actively pushing the partner program. And what we found is that, yeah, it's cool for me to have an on-demand webinar or to do an event once in a while. But a lot of agents just want a 5 or 10 minute call to answer some questions. So Pat has been hired in order to do that. If you are interested in getting a call with Pat, text me on my cell phone at 781-486-3000. Just let me know, hey, I'm interested in learning more about the partner program, and I'll connect you with Pat. And then you guys can talk. You can have a 5-minute call. You can have an hour call. Doesn't matter. Pat is the guy to help facilitate more partner deals for us. So I hope you guys got value out of today. I hope that you're open-minded enough to think, oh, I could see how I could use the partner program, the cash offer, the guaranteed sale. more than willing. I'm more than willing to help strategize with you guys. Pac's more than willing to help strategize with all of you on how to implement it. It will be good for your seller. It will be good for you. It will be good for us. That's what we try to do. We try to create win-win situations. So again, guys, if you're interested in a call about the partner program, text me at 781-486-3000. Thank you.